started. This project is called Midpoint Commons. It's really composed of really three components. There's Midpoint Commerce Center, which is light industrial, primarily warehouse distribution, about 10.5 million square feet. There is Midpoint Parkway, which is a truck bypass that we've been trying to get built in Baker County and get trucks from particularly the Walmart distribution center out of downtown. This is a big component of making that a reality. And then Midpoint Village, which is a residential component. You're going to hear a little bit about our neighborhood and what the heck is that, and I'll do my best to explain that to you. But first, let's kind of figure out where we are. The blue is the current city limits of the city of McLean. So the dotted area is the Midpoint Commons area. It's about 2,000 acres. It's really bounded by, on the south by I-10, on the north by the railroad, on the east by the county line, and pretty much abuts the existing city on the west side. So this is just a blow up of it. As you can see, because of the rail, there's really no access from US 90 without a flyover. There's no access from Nassau County. I-10 is a limited access road, so no access. And there's really frontage on 5th Street or 228, just a little bit north of the interstate of I-10. So we talked about this. This is something that's literally been in a plan for more than a decade. And this is existing truck route for the industrial development, particularly the Walmart distribution center. It goes west on US 90, 5th Street to access I-10. And, I think there's a few trucks that actually didn't quite make that turn to get on the 5th Street and has actually hit the corner of the building there. So this has been a long-term goal of the city to get this truck traffic out of the city. This has been a proposal for, like I said, more than a decade, is to create a flyover of the rail and US 90 into the industrial park and bring those trucks through this piece of property and connect at the signal at Walmart and let them access directly and bypasses the downtown of the city and everything. This project is an integral part of making this reality, and you'll see why. So what is this project? Well, I talked about the job center, the 10.5 million square feet of warehouse distribution, 300,000 square feet of commercial and retail, and that would primarily be located between I-10 and this proposed new road and flyover. 10.5 million square feet equates to about 5,000 jobs. 300,000 square feet of commercial retail equates to about 1,500 jobs. So we're talking about 6,500 jobs in Baker County, if this is annexed in the city of McLean. And I'll show you why that. You're going to ask yourself, what do I, as a resident, get out of this project? And I'll show you what that is. So this is what the industrial component will look like. And again, it's primarily on the eastern part of the project, abutting I-10, abutting the rail. The 300,000 square feet of retail is back closer to 5th Street. I can tell you there's already a major grocer that's interested in this property. This piece of property here is already in the county and the city and is already zoned for commercial. So it's really not a change from that perspective. The one change there is providing a buffer between these existing residents and around this land that's not included in the project, which would remain in the county. That buffer doesn't exist in the existing zoning plan. It will exist in this one. So, question is, what goes here? And obviously that's the residential component. And that residential component is vital because that is what pays for the Blue Road. This Blue Road and the interchange improvements cost about $25 million. This flyover is about $25 million. The residential component would pay for that $25 million, and then we only need DOT to fund and do what they do best, which is do the bridge over the railroad. US 90 is obviously a state road. Just recently, the DOT had a funding for planning of this, and it was lost because it was unable to be executed, that funding. There is right-of-way that has been provided already for that road, but there's no money to build it. So what are we proposing there? And part of this is about being a master plan mixed-use community, live, work, and play, 6,500 jobs, commercial services, and yes, residential component. But also, this is very different than the growth that you've seen today, which was primarily just subdivisions. And it's much more comfortable as a resident to hear, oh, 100 lot subdivision. I'm okay with that. But you get a 100 lot subdivision every year for 20, 25 years, and you've got exactly 2,500 homes. What you don't have is the amenities, the school sites, the regional park sites, the conservation of land, the $25 million worth of infrastructure improvements. That's what you get when you build a master plan mixed-use community. And it also affords an additional tax base of both the residential and the non-residential. So this is proposed as an agri-hood. So what the heck is that? Well, there is a farm component that will actually be owned by the HOA, by the residents. They will own it. It will be run by professional farmers, and it will produce produce that's in season. Now, this isn't taking this, everybody here is still going to the grocery store, but it will produce produce that's in season. It might be strawberries, it might be corn or whatever, it'll be a mix of things. It will also provide an opportunity for farmers that are want to have their product. It might be honey, it might be beef. There'll be cooler space and shelf space in here if they want to put their product in for consignment as well. So it's a lifestyle. It's a healthy, eat healthy lifestyle. That's really what it is. It's, instead of doing a golf course, it's a farm, if you want to look at it that way. And quite frankly, we felt that fit the culture a little bit better, or we're, in context with where we are. So this is, their agri-hoods are now being built around the country. They're hugely popular. There's a big barn. The barn is also a gathering spot. It's not just the normal farm and market, but it also serves as that community common area. And there are cooking classes there, and people once a week they go and pick up their produce. It's kind of it's kind of like the post office used to be, where everybody got their mail and talked to one another in the community. There's also gardens in the neighborhoods, and they have you pick 'em gardens, and there might be one, maybe blueberries. There are actually trails, you pick 'em trails that they put through about a quarter of a mile, and you go through, and all the plants are identified, and they tell you a little bit about them, that you can pick, tomatoes or bell peppers or as you walk. So you get a little exercise and get a little food. But again, it's a lifestyle component. The communities that have been built as agri-hoods have about 90% participation. The original developers thought only about 50% would be good. But it's in the HOA fee. So they pay somewhere in the $30, $35 a month. And that funds the operation of the farm and the market. And so it creates a lifestyle, and then they can participate or not. But they also, since there's full-time help, if they want to do a garden in their backyard, they also get professional help on what to do, or like me, when the bugs are eating everything, what do I do? So again, that's what an agri-hood is generally all about. But let's talk about some of the design issues that you've experienced that are problems in the subdivisions that have been built maybe over the last 10 years. So here's a good example. Not enough parking. Most of the houses, and this is, by the way, this is a standard lot of 75 by 100 feet, 7,500 square feet. That's your RS2 zoning. But this is a common issue that we have with, they build a 16-foot garage door, and they build a 16-foot driveway to the door, and in 16 feet, you can't park two cars and beside one another, because if you do, you can't get out the door. And this is a kind of a good example of what you get. I'll show you how we're addressing this so that we don't have this in this community. The other problem, and we heard this both from the fire chief and the sheriff, is this situation where on-street parking. And if you get, like we have here, a car parked on one side and the truck parked on the other side, the emergency vehicles, this is a life safety issue. They can't get through. And so how do we solve that problem? And so I'll show you how we solve that problem as well in this proposal. So here's the plan. The first thing we do is all driveways will be a minimum of 18 feet wide. Why? Because then you can park two cars. We have a two-car garage, so we can get one car in the garage. It's just the way it is. So you have that ability now to park two cars in the driveway, and with a minimum setback of 24 feet, so that they're not hanging over the sidewalk. The other issue is we've widened the pavement. We have widened the pavement to 30 feet, which allows for a parking lane on one side of the road. So we don't have this life safety issue where somebody parks in the road and you can't get around it. And so it's both an aesthetics problem, but it's also a functional safety problem. Interestingly enough, you have some of this inside the city limits. If you drive down Fifth Street, there are places that have parallel parking on the side of the road in front of single-family houses. So you see that. I think over on 6th Street, north of 90, you have some of this. So this is not new. It's kind of going back. Because when many houses, when they were built, in the 40s and 50s, they didn't have a garage. And so parking on the street wasn't that unusual. So what we tried to do is be sensitive to the issues, understand the problem, and address the problem so it's not a big problem in the future. So, hot topic. Your current RS2 zoning, there's minimum lot size is 75 feet by 100 feet, 7,500 square feet. The minimum lot size that we're proposing is 55 feet by 136 feet. Same 7,500 square feet, differently configured. Why are we doing that? Why do we do that? Well, first of all, it requires 26% less infrastructure. Roads, water, sewer, reuse, drainage, curb and gutter. It also is a more efficient lot layout, so that we can take some of that land in a master plan community and provide regional parks and provide school sites and provide conservation areas. And the truth is, people live in their backyard. They don't live in their side yard. And Similarly, the only thing the side yard usually gets is a boat parked in it, or an RV parked in it. But those are prohibited from parking at their house in this master plan community, because the master plan community actually has secured RV and boat storage in a community, and it's signed and it's secure, but you can go get your boat anytime. You can bring it to your house and you can get it all cleaned up and ready to go fish in the morning. You can do that, but you can't park it there permanently. Same thing with your RV. So again, it's about building a community that people want to live in. So what does this look like? What do we have to do this? So this is the existing zoning and comprehensive plan, including future land use map. So remember, this is in the county today. So this is already industrial. This is commercial. This is in the city. This is already commercial. And this is agriculturally zoned. So what would it look like if we reorganize this? It would look like this. The industrial sort of gets aggregated together. The commercial is here, gets spread along I-10, spans the commercial. And we're adding in this certainty of what this is going to be. I showed you a map with a question mark there. And I know residential is a hot topic, and I understand that. But there's a certain planning hierarchy that's important. And we've got low density residential here. We're proposing a 1,000-foot buffer. This will remain in the county and remain just as it is. This is really the NAB property. It's all the NAB property, but they will continue to own this. 1,000-foot buffer, so the folks that live here, what they look at today will be the same in the future. Low density residential transitioning to a townhouse product, a medium density, transitioning to industrial or commercial. All inside one master plan community that includes school sites, park sites, and a new $25 million road. This project will build what's in blue, still left for the DOT to build the flyover. The truth is, this project doesn't need the flyover. This is trying to get something done that hasn't been done in the last 20 years of good effort, but not much progress. So that's what your comprehensive plan would look like. So what are the financial benefits to the city if this is annexed in? What we call a growth dividend. It was obvious from the non-residential, 10.5 million square feet of warehouse distribution will generate about $7.3 million in local ad valorem taxes. 21% goes to the city, 42% goes to the county, and 31% goes to the school. So 94% of every dollar in ad valorem stays in this community. The commercial, about $340,000. So the non-residential contributes about $7.6 million a year to the community. How about the residential? Well, we looked at, with your property appraiser's help, we looked at what the average market value of a single family home is in the city of McLean. It's $215,800. Assuming it's owner occupied and it gets homestead exemption, its taxable value is $164,000. It pays about $2,200 a year in taxes. That's an average. If it was at market value, it would be about $3,700 a year. And that's sort of the same our homes dividend. And particularly with older housing stock, that Save Our Homes is a big difference, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Again, the same distribution, but 94% stays in the community. So, what about Midpoint Village? Average market value will be $400,000, homesteaded, $350 of taxable value. That's about $6,100 in ad valorem. That's $3,800 more than the average in the current city of the city. So you take that, that's about $15.2 billion. So significant, obviously, and that's every year. So if I'm an existing resident, it's okay, I hear y'all go, that's really interesting, but what exactly do I get? Well, the truth is, being able to spread the cost of services, municipal services, government services over a broader base brings down the cost. I mean, we're only going to have one mic to pay, whether this is approved or not approved. We're only going to have 5 commissioners. Not that they make much money anyway, but so all those fixed costs of running a government, especially a small city government, are fixed, and if we can spread them over a larger base, it keeps everybody's taxes down. And the alternative is that we find ourselves in a situation where the cost of services keep going up. But if the tax base is capped to Save Our Homes, the revenue doesn't keep going up. So you got 2 choices. You can either reduce your level of service or you raise your taxes. Or you can build new tax base. So that's what the residents get out of that's what we call the growth dividend. So you add the non-residential and residential together, it's about $23 million a year in average annual revenue. So it's significant. I think Mike told me that the current budget's about $25 million a year for the city. So, not all that goes to the city, but it's significant. So, in closing, what do you get? What are the benefits for the existing residents? Well, you get job creation, 6,500 job opportunities. You get the trucks out of downtown. You get an increased tax base, and that keeps your ad valorem taxes low. You get new retail and professional service opportunities. Like I said, there's already a major grocer that's interested in being in this master plan community. You get a regional park site, a school site. The other thing you get is a master plan community that's somewhat self-contained. I mean, we only access the same part of the point that trucks access, which is at 228 and I-10. So those are the benefits. That's kind of what we're proposing. It's important to understand that this doesn't happen tomorrow. 2,500 homes don't pop out of the ground, the day after this project's approved. They'll grow to about 100 to 200 homes a year. So it's no different than approving 100 lot or 100 lot subdivisions a year, except those don't bring the benefits of a master plan community does, and doesn't bring the tax base. And so some of you, I'm sure, are thinking, well, just, we like the jobs, and we like the industrial, and we like the commercial, we just don't like the residential. The problem is commercial and industrial won't pay for the roads. They're usually looking for incentives even to come to the community. They don't pay for roads. The residential will pay 100% of the roads. That's just the reality. There are no perfect plans. Been doing this for 47 years. Haven't seen one yet. But this is a pretty darn good plan. And I think it also gives certainty of what's going to happen with this 2,000 acres. Because eventually something's going to go there. It might be a junkyard. It might be a real, sort of component. It could be any of the uses that you might not be so supportive of that are residential. Having certainty of what's going to happen to this piece of property, I think, is an important component. And that's what the master plan community is. It gives you certainty.